Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining me for round two of the retailer grab bag. Today, I got a package from the second of the two retailers that I'm going to bounce back and forth between. So, last month I got some surprises from Partners and Son, and this month I got a package from Escape Pod Comics. Our buddy Menachem is also going to play this game with me. So, again, like with Partners and Son, I said send me, you got like $100-ish budget. Send me stuff you think that I'll love that I don't have, or just in general that you think our audience needs to hear about. So let's see what Menachem sent us. We've got Catalyst, a graphic anthology program. That's cool, because that's going to be just exposure to a bunch of different artists. The Dancing Plague by Gareth Brooks. Nice paper. I look forward to that. Kent State by Durf Back Durf. This is the same dude that did My Friend Dahmer, I think. So Menachem's going with bigger books, I think, in general. We got something that's all packaged up here. A series. Okay. Hulk Grand Design by Jim Rugg, and some Marvel stuff. And then Menachem's cool. He always packs with single issues that have been. Oh wow, look at this old Howard the Duck. Single issues that have been damaged. So he has to get rid of them some way, and this is how he does that. So we all get free comics, all kinds of cool singles. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to review some of these. This one looks good. If I find anything in here that I like, this looks cool. If I find anything in the damages that I think is particularly compelling, like this one's immediately grabbed my eye, I'll throw those in the review. Cursed Pirate Girl, The Devil's Cave by Archaea and Jeremy Bastian. I'll throw those in the review if I think there's stuff that's really worth looking at. But I know a lot of these are just like, here's some fun stuff for free. Menachem's a very smart and generous man. And then at the bottom here, this is the other big one, RDW by Marcos Rudy. He did those old Spider-Man. I remember him doing Spider-Man. Yeah, very creative painter. So that's cool. And then some more single issues. So now I got to go read all of this stuff. Oh, Bolero. Our buddy Brandon lettered this. Brandon Graham lettered that. I've been meaning to get it. So that's cool. Some Bendis. Oh, there's good stuff in here. A lot of cool free stuff too. So thank you so much, Menachem. I'm going to go read this and then we'll jump back with a review. So the deal with these is I talk about the books that I got, and then I'll give them, this is something I don't normally do in reviews, but I'll give them like a number 1 to 10. I'll rank them 1 to 10. That's not so much a criticism of the book as it is communicating to Menachem at Escape Pod, where it stands for me, because I'm asking these retailers to send me grab bags of things that hopefully I'll like. So I'll tell them 1 to 10 for me, but I'll try and explain my criticism of the book separate for that. So I don't want people looking at the numbers and thinking that's some kind of be all end all. There's a lot of good stuff that's just not for me. So if you like something, go get it. Because Menachem always packs stuff with damages, there's 2 books here that weren't part of like what he sent me, so I'm not going to give them a numerical review, but out of the damages he sent me, these were ones that I wanted to talk about. Bolero I was excited to get because our buddy Brandon Graham lettered it, and I know he's excited about the book, so it's one that I've been meaning to pick up. It starts out as a really good drama book, I would say, just relationships of this main character, Devin Dagny, called Dagger. Just kind of her relationship with her girlfriend and some other friends of hers that she has crushes on and stuff. Just a good drama. Towards the end of the book, I keep turning to the keep turning to the inappropriate pages. Towards the end of the book, it takes a turn for the sci-fi when Devon's brought in front of the Capgra. I really like this bit of Brandon's lettering where both characters are speaking the same words. It's like the Capgra character, because he's prophetic, is being able to speak what Devon's saying. That's of course Brandon. He's a great formalist, so there's some really great lettering tricks there. But it's explained to Devon that they have the option to go into the multiverse and take trips into alternate Devons, basically, which is an interesting concept. There's one other book, a Christian Ward book, I forget what it was called, that kind of had that same premise with some really amazing art. Personally, I'm not so big on multiverse stuff. I'm kind of sick of it. I've never been into time travel or multiverse stuff. I think it's a stupid idea of reality. Sometimes I like multiverse stories, but usually multiverse and time travel has me But I enjoyed the first issue enough that I will go seek out. Well, I'll probably just wait until this comes out in a collection and check out the collection and see where the story goes. See if they do something interesting with the multiverse. The art's good enough and the writing so far has been good enough. But multiverse stuff, that Christian Ward one, the Infinite something or another, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I did like that one just for the art in it. This book, Cursed Pirate Girl, The Devil's Cave by Jeremy A. Bastian from Archaea. Never heard of it. You saw when I opened it while I was doing the unboxing that I was like, whoa, what is this? Insane artwork in here. Absolutely insane. Insanely detailed work. These huge, crazy, like this huge, crazy spread. Insane design. Like the page designs are really interesting. And some of the most intricate art I've ever seen, I think, in a comic. Here's another insane spread. Just texture and cross-hatching and stippling all over the place. Since me and Sean are always complaining about this stuff, the print in this is actually pretty good. To my, like, super Hawkeyes, there's still a lot of pixelization. And there's so many teeny, teeny, tiny lines that some of them get lost to that. But overall, the first impression is, wow, this is a really nicely printed book. It's on this like creamy paper, which is nice, so it makes it look a little bit more like print, and it's real heavy. And if you're not like going eagle eyes, sticking your nose in it like I'm prone to doing, then you don't really notice it. I think there's probably some fuzziness and loss of detail from a distance in some of the areas. But really impressed by the art. It's like volume 4. And there's a little recap here, but even with that, the story didn't make sense to me. The characters tend to move around the pages, so and the lettering goes all which ways, and the lettering's hand done and not that great, so it's hard to read. But like on this spread here, you have to start here and go up and around, and with the density of detail and the odd like movement through the pages, it's a pretty hard book to read. I gave up like halfway through, so I have no idea what the story's about. But I'm going to be seeking out the rest of this series just for the art alone. So again, this is one that Menachem didn't send me as like a part of the $100 I was spending. It was just packaging because it was damaged. But I'm really happy he sent this. And, maybe the story, I'll go back to it once I can find all of them, or if I can find a collection of this. Doesn't look like it's been collected yet. Looks like it's been through multiple different publishers. So I'll keep my eye out for it. But even if the story never makes sense, I don't care. It's just a beautiful book. Anyone that likes like super detailed art, go grab this book. Okay, the first up of the books that Menachem picked out for me is Catalyst from Self-Made Hero. It's an anthology book, which is always a crapshoot. I think anthologies are... they're really good places to find like, oh yeah, like these 3 I really like and I want to follow up on them, and everyone else to toss. I don't know, man. I thought this was a pretty thin anthology in terms of people that I want to follow up on. When I read the intro, it's a thing where a self-made hero did a graphic anthology program, which was a workshop that they did that saw 7 participants complete an intensive 12 weeks of comic mentoring and masterclass, which culminated in each participant and the mentors producing an 8-page story, all of which have been collected here. And that's what the book feels like to me, except I don't know who the mentors were. I have some guesses, but to me this feels like a collection of amateur work overall. Uh, I would be happy if my students were doing it. And I went to the back to see if I could find information on age, because if these are like teenagers, then there's some good work, but they're all graduated from college and stuff, and I don't know, man. I just had a hard time with this one. There's some things here and there. The first one right out the gate by Catherine Anyango Grunewald. This one was really provocative, good art, compelling layouts, very obtuse story, but in a compelling way. So I went to Instagram, and I mean, her feed is like every now and then some drawings and then some personal stuff. So this was the one thing I could get excited about in the book in terms of a creator I want to see more from. And it just doesn't strike me as someone who's committed to comics. They made a great comic, but they're not committed to comics. But a lot of other stuff is like this. I mean, it's not bad, but I don't know. The stories don't resonate. The Guessing Game by Jason Chuang. This one the story was compelling to me. It was kind of surreal in a way. But I don't know, maybe it's like the limitation of 8 pages. There was some formal stuff I liked, but this is like someone that shows promise to me, but not complete. This is another one that, again, like there's something to it. Something about like the color crayon look, even though it's digital, and some of the abstractions that seems like it could go somewhere to me, but it doesn't feel like an artist who's fully developed their voice. And again, in 8 pages, I don't really feel like they had a chance to say anything. This piece by Sonia Long fell into the category of like an artist who doesn't have a story and they need to figure out a story to make, and they're kind of throwing you the red herring of it's like this schoolgirl, but it's this really bad, like, I mean, I don't know, just all these gradients and stuff. And then at the end of it, you realize that the author was actually the person who shows up at the kid's school and was inspiring her, and she's like, realizing that she can inspire other artists, and so maybe I should draw a comic about it. And I don't know, that's just a trick it's too cute for me now. Looking at this artist's biography in the back, it says she's done a number of like how to draw manga books, and that's what the art looks like me. It looks like those how-to books that you pick up in Michael's where they're drawing the how-to books because they're not drawing comics professionally. I don't know. That's just the impression I got trying to be honest about this book. This story here was the other one I really liked by Asay Alfasi. Really good art and interesting, like coherent story that worked within 8 pages. Had some really interesting text where it's saying, as she performed the story, the layers of the story began to unfold. The sediments of words uttered and embellished by successive generations, and with each sediment, a new layer of wisdom and possible perspective wove within. Each listener can only occupy the level for which they are ready. Some people perceive entertainment, others catch more complex, savory notes, and others are still swimming breathless as a new layer of depth is finally made accessible to them. And so that's cool. Like, I like that. I think, unfortunately, within the 8 pages, this author didn't necessarily get to pack that many layers into their own story. There are some there, like I could peel back a couple layers given the ending, so I won't give that away. But I would like to see this artist do something more long form. I'll have to follow up on them. But I think that's the most complete professional story in the book. But there's just some stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know, man. Too late in the game if this is you still learning, and this is a book about you learning. And this one by Woodrow Phoenix that ends it off, Convolute, is an interesting story. There's some interesting graphic devices. It's definitely like comics as I feel like this would be a library book for kids that has a bunch of short stories. So it's good. It's not the kind of thing that I'm into, but it does what it's trying to do, which is tell a story, a historical story about a woman who was sewing the suits for the astronauts and making a pretty poignant point about the fact that as a black woman in the 60s, she would have never had the chance to be the astronaut herself. And then the person we celebrate, the white man, the hero, was only able to do it because of her hard work. So that seems like this could be a book, there could be a book full of these things that would go into elementary school libraries. And it seems like that very static, proficient, like information delivery style to me with some collage and stuff, which kind of graphically compelling, but they're not the greatest images, so it feels a little lazy. So that one, the story was compelling. The style of it didn't quite speak to me. So yeah, overall, I don't know. Sorry, Menachem. I didn't find this to be that great or that important of a book that must be seen. Anthologies really, for me, are all about finding that new artist. I'm excited, and I understand that they're not going to do their best work in an anthology necessarily, but I want to follow up on them. And the one person I wanted to follow up on the most, like, as far as I could tell, isn't doing anything else with comics, so that was a letdown. So I got to give this book, like, a 4 at best. It just in terms of, is it something I'm super excited to have. RDW, A Tale of Lost Fantasy by Marco Rudy. I'm not sure what the RDW is, even after reading the book. But I was pretty excited about this one when I pulled it out of the box. I remember really liking a Spider-Man miniseries that Marco Rudy did, and I'm pretty sure I've read one other thing by him, but I know his art for being painterly, which is in here, and having these like fluid J.H. Williams type of layouts, which plays out to be the case in here. The cover had me a little worried because it's very, and just the format of the book is very Dungeons and Dragons guidebook to me, and that's never been part of my interest set. I do like Lord of the Rings and fantasy stuff like that, so I'm not against fantasy. Also noticed that Menachem sent me a signed copy, which is awesome. This book was obviously kickstarted, so Menachem probably ordered a whole bunch of them from the Kickstarter on a retailer deal, which he's done for us multiple times. So it's cool to have a signed copy. This opening, I wish they would have taken this out, because Marco Rudy says something about the overarching story and narrative devices are designed in a way for you to take your time with each page and each scene. It is my way of adding to the ambiance and the experience, inviting interactivity and collaboration from the reader. Take your time to interact with each page and scene. You will find many hidden nuggets and have a more complete experience if you do. That kind of worried me, because it was like saying, hey, I took a long time on this and it's only a 48-page book or so, and I'm going to be real sad if you blow through it. It's like, I don't know if I want that instruction up front, and then I'm going into the book looking for some really complex trickery. So I thought that was weird. It's up to you to slow the reader down, like not just telling them to do so. But the artwork's beautiful. I mean, this is what I remember about Marco Rudy and what I found so exciting about his art. It's a nice big book. You can see it's a really large book. here's a regular comic size Appleseed. So a big book, really well printed. It's cool because you can see all the textures of the paint built up. You can see how the images were made. So that's really nice. As a painter, I enjoy seeing that. And then, yeah, these really kind of fluid, creative layouts that is what I think of when I think of Marco Rudy. Because of the intro, I was spending time like looking for, I don't know, hidden messages or Easter eggs or something. Maybe I didn't spend enough time, maybe I didn't look closely enough, but to me it is a quick breezy read. You have a face going into an eye, and then it's like, yeah, it's got a shell and a skull in it, but you see all that stuff pretty quick. I think a page like that to me does read like brrr, and it's designed that way. I don't see this as design that's meant to slow you down or something. So I'm not sure. That it just I wish I wouldn't have read that. I think I would have just gotten into the story and enjoyed the book more because of like beautiful layouts like this. Maybe there's things like this that as the story develops will be more relevant. Who that statue is, what that statue means, but I don't know. It's to me it's just background world building at this point. So. Maybe if the whole series had been all published in one book and I could have gone back and forth and figured out what all this world building was. But this is volume 1 of at least 4, according to what's in the back. So, yeah, I don't feel like I can make those connections yet. In terms of the story, like, really love the art. Of course, the art's beautiful. The story is a pretty basic Dungeons and Dragons fantasy story. In the back, he even admits that he was trying to propose the Witcher story, and it got rejected. So he said, "Screw it, I'm gonna go make my own." So this quote here, by the time I got to it, I was already like, "Yeah, story-wise, this is pretty basic, and it's not adding anything new to the genre." If you like the genre, it's a really good example of it. I like the genre enough that I'm going to like exceptional versions of it. Exceptional art, not exceptional story. But here it says, an abandoned village with no sign of life, a necrophage attack. How original. And that's kind of how I felt about the story, is like, yeah, okay. How original. The art really takes it off into its own realm. There was one little Easter egg that I noticed in the dialogue that I thought was kind of cute. Is the main character gives her name as Astrid Goscinny van Uderzo, so referencing the creators of Asterix. Then also saying that she's a leader from the Dargaud company. I believe referencing the French publisher Dargaud. Sorry if I'm pronouncing those things wrong. So I found, there was some Easter eggs, but nothing that I thought slowed you down. And then it's to be continued. So it's a pretty quick book and a pretty quick read. Just kind of sets up the story, but doesn't do anything new enough with the genre that I'm like chomping at the bit to see the rest of it. If it ever gets collected all together in one book, I think I would grab that because the art's really compelling, and I've always loved Marco Rudy's layouts. But I think I need to see it as a whole. It's too small of a chunk, and even if the front hadn't said that it was supposed to be a slow read, and I'm being like extra likely to say it was a fast read because of that. I think I would have said that anyways, that it was kind of a fast read. It could have been at least like I think they could have done volume 1 and 2 at the same time to really get me connected to the characters more. So that's kind of my opinion on the book. Because of the story aspects of it, I think I have to put it as a 7 just because it's pretty, or 6 because it's like pretty run of the mill. But the artwork's up there at like an 8, I think, 8 or 9, depending on what your preferences are. But if you like fantasy stuff, yeah, totally grab this book. It's a great fantasy book.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.